I did a video with a 7-foot exhaust. So since then, I've shortened the exhaust to the optimum length. And I got the bike to 3.93 0 to 30 and 57.84 top speed. The Minibike expert said that every foot of exhaust I add, I'll gain like 5 horsepower per foot. 2 to 3 horsepower per foot. What was that? No. What I said was, you would gain 2 to 3 horsepower per foot of exhaust, but you have to have the long intake to go along with the long exhaust. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so I think this time around, I'm gonna add a 3-foot intake to go along with my 3-foot exhaust. And according to the Minibike expert, I should gain about 3 horsepower per foot. So that's an extra 9 horsepower right there. So right now I'll have about 3 feet of exhaust on this bike. So with a 3-foot intake, I think that should work out pretty good. Okay, let me pull this fuel line off of here. Pop the short intake off of here. So with 3 feet of intake, I just might have to extend the throttle cable. Maybe. Off with the short and on with the long. On with the extra 9 horsepower or so, give or take. All right, looks pretty good. Tighten that on there. You know, have this much extra horsepower, definitely want this thing on here. So this thing is super long, so I'm gonna probably have to put some wire here and then wire it up to the frame. Maybe as a nice little brace, kind of keep it steady. So I threw a couple clamps on here to keep my wires stable. I mean, you're gonna be running this kind of power, you definitely want this carburetor to be stable. So let me throw this carb on here. Throw a clamp on here. That looks pretty sweet. Tighten this carb down on here. Definitely want to make sure this thing's tight. With all this extra power it's going to have. I figure 9 extra horses is going to be pulling on this carb pretty hard. Okay, there we go. So now let's run the throttle cable. So I think I'll hook this piece of cable to the carb and then down the intake. And then I'll hook it to the existing cable that's already hooked to the twist grip. And then if this thing does add an extra 9, 10, 15 horses, then I'll go ahead and hook it up permanently. But we gotta test it first. Put this cable down in here. Yeah, I think this setup will work. We'll see. But it's probably the easiest way I could do it for right now, until I make sure this thing makes some serious power. Zip tie this cable on here, because I got a lot of extra cable here. I want to leave a lot of extra cable in case I want to extend it out farther. I mean, if this thing makes massive horsepower, I'm definitely going to probably want to extend it out more. All right, so I got the long intake on there, got the throttle cable hooked up, got the throttle working. So I might as well run a filter on here. Gonna make this kind of power, you might as well run a filter. Okay, that'll work. I think that's about it. Got the fuel line on there. I think we're about finished. Okay, got the long intake on there. I think the only thing to do now is take it out for a 0 to 30 and top speed. We have to be 3.93 0 to 30 and 57.84 top speed.
It seems like it runs pretty good. What do I need, a 3.93? Oh, still on there. Man, I gotta watch that thing hitting the ground. I mean, but when you have this kind of power, I guess you gotta sacrifice. It's got a pretty sweet idle. 0 to 30, long intake, and I gotta beat a 3.93. Man, it ran pretty good. A 3.99. Wow, that's pretty good. Let me see if I can back that up. 3.99. All right, we're still on there. Sweet. Got a little bit of surging going on, but that's what happens when you have this kind of power. All right, second attempt, 0 to 30, long intake. A 4.13. Okay, so 3.99 was the best so far. So it's not as quick from 0 to 30, but we'll see what it does for top speed. We have to beat 57.84. So with the long tube and the wind going over the tube, it'll cool the intake charge. Another benefit. All right, top speed run. Top speed run with an intake that's just a little bit longer than normal.
So the bike was pretty much a rocket ship. So last time around with the long exhaust, the bike did 3.93 0 to 30 and 57.84 top speed. Then I added the 3-foot intake, and the bike did 3.99. So 3.93 versus 3.99, almost identical. And 57.48 top speed. So it lost just a little bit top speed. So how did it run? It ran pretty decent. I mean, not quite as fast as before. Well, that's because you were running the long intake and the long exhaust without the dual spark plugs. You need to drill the head for 2 spark plugs. Okay, I'll have to try that.